Marlo and the Great Winter Potato. Under the floor of a great quiet house, where the people upstairs never thought to look, lived a village of little folk no taller than a spoon. They had round cheeks and bare feet, and the soft, curious faces of children, and they kept the snuggest, most orderly larder you could imagine. Rows of seed sacks tied with grass, towers of dried apple rings, and acorn cap bowls stacked in tidy steps. In the very middle, like a great brown boulder, sat the winter potato, one enormous potato that, sliced thin and shared with care, could feed the whole village until the snow melted. The smallest and clumsiest of all the little folk was a boy named Marlo, who tripped over his own feet, knocked over whatever he meant to carry, and somehow always ended up wearing the very thing he was supposed to be tidying. That morning, old Bogdan, keeper of the stores, cut a fresh notch in the doorpost to count the days down to the first frost, frowning because there were not many notches left. And when he turned, he saw something that made the whole larder go quiet. A long, deep scratch gouged into a seed sack, far too big for any mouse, the mark of a hungry, burrowing beetle. More than anything, Marlo wanted a real winter job, the kind the grown-ups had: guarding, hauling, slicing, sealing. But whenever he asked, the others would smile gently and find him something small and safe, well away from anything that could topple. "Here, Marlo," said Bogdan kindly that day. "Carry this one acorn cap of salt to the drying shelf, slowly now, and that will be a great help." Marlo lifted the little cap as carefully as he had ever carried anything, took 3 proud steps, and caught his heel on a grass knot, so that the salt flew up in a sparkling cloud, and he sat down hard in the middle of it. Worse, his flailing arm clipped the bottom of a tower of dried apple rings, and the whole tower came down in a slow, rolling, whooping avalanche that bounced merrily across the entire larder. The little folk only sighed the fond, tired sigh of people who had sighed it many times before, while his sister Zlata quietly began stacking the rings back up. The next day was Strawberry Day, the busiest of the whole season. In from the cold store, the folk rolled a single strawberry as big and red as a hill, and a team of them worked a long saw knife back and forth to cut it into broad red slabs, which were carried off to dry on the high shelves so they would keep all winter and never spoil. Marlo, desperate to help, grabbed the end of a slice and promptly skated across a puddle of strawberry juice, arms windmilling, until he fetched up in a sticky pink heap against a jar. Everyone laughed, not unkindly, and Zlata hauled him up by the collar with a look that said, "Please, just watch." But then a shadow fell over the doorway, and a beetle the size of an ox pushed its hard, gleaming head into the larder, feelers twitching toward the sweet smell of strawberries. The grown-ups snatched up torches and the great straw broom and drove it back into the dark, and for a long moment nobody laughed at all. After that, the grown-ups were too worried to keep half an eye on Marlo, so they sat him on a high shelf with a crumb of bread and told him gently to stay put and watch. He sat there feeling smaller than ever, sure that a boy who could not even carry salt would never matter on a day that mattered. To keep from crying, he wandered along the dusty top shelf where no one else ever bothered to go. And that was where his clumsy, curious feet found something the careful grown-ups had missed. Faint beetle scratches led in a secret trail along the wall, down behind the great winter potato to a place where nobody ever looked. There, hidden in the deepest shadow, Marlo found a narrow crack in the wall, just wide enough for a beetle to squeeze through, and the cold draft and the deep gouges told him this was how the hungry thing had been getting in. It was far too small and tucked away for any grown-up to reach, but it was, he realized with a thump of his heart, exactly Marlo-sized. Marlo knew he should fetch a grown-up, but he was the boy who imagined things, and there was no time, so he squeezed into the crack to see for himself. The tunnel beyond was earthy and cold, and at the far end 2 huge dark eyes and a pair of slow scraping feelers turned toward him, the beetle, closer than he had ever wanted to be. He yelped, spun to run, tangled his own feet, of course, and tumbled back out of the crack in a clattering heap, which was the only thing that saved him from those snapping jaws. Heart hammering, he raced down to the larder floor, shouting that the beetle had a secret door behind the potato and would come that very night. But everyone was rushing to dry the last strawberry slices before the frost, and they only patted his head. "Not now, Marlo. Mind you don't trip, Marlo." For who listens to the clumsy boy who was always underfoot? Only Zlata paused, a slice of strawberry in her hands, and watched her brother with a small, uncertain frown. That night, when the larder was dark and the little folk were curled in their acorn-cap beds, a slow scraping sound came from behind the great winter potato. The beetle had come, just as Marlo said, pushing in through its secret crack toward the one potato that had to last them the whole long winter. The folk woke in a fright and rushed out with everything they had, the great straw broom, the heavy jar-lid shield, the longest torches, for these were the strong, orderly tools that had always driven the beetle back before. But the beetle was wedged deep in the narrow space behind the potato, where the broom was too wide to sweep, the lid too heavy to fit, and the torches could not even shine. Bogdan pushed and the others pulled, but their big, careful tools were made for the wide, tidy larder, not for a cramped, dark crack the size of a boy. And all the while, the beetle gnawed closer to the potato, and the village's whole winter trembled on the edge of being lost. Marlo stood at the back of the frightened crowd, and a strange, bright thought lit up inside him. He was the only one small enough to fit in that crack, and more than that, sliding and rolling and tumbling were the very things he did better than anyone in the whole village. "Let me go," he said, and when they all turned, for once, he did not look down. "I can't carry salt and I can't slice straight, but I can slip and trip and knock things over, and that is exactly what we need down there." Quickly, he gathered the most ungrown-up tools imaginable, a cup of slippery strawberry juice, a pouch of round dried peas that loved to roll, and a thimble big enough to hide under. Old Bogdan looked at the broom that would not fit, and the crack that would, then knelt down to the smallest, clumsiest boy in the larder and said, "Go on then, Marlo. We're trusting you." Marlo squeezed into the crack with his juice and his peas and his thimble, and for the first time in his life, his clumsiness had somewhere useful to go. He poured the strawberry juice down the slope of the tunnel and threw himself after it, sliding straight at the startled beetle, far faster than he could ever have walked. As he shot past, he yanked open the pouch and sent a whole rattling avalanche of round peas bouncing and pinging off the beetle's hard shell, so that it scrambled and skidded and could not find its footing. When the great jaws snapped his way, he ducked under the thimble like a little tortoise, and the snap clanged harmlessly off the metal, ringing like a bell. Round and round the cramped, dark crack, Marlo tumbled and bounced on purpose, a one-boy whirlwind of slips and clatters, herding the great, confused beetle back toward the hole it had come through. It was the messiest, most graceless rescue the larder had ever not been able to see, and it was working. The beetle had had enough of the boy who would not hold still, and it heaved itself backward, scraping and grumbling, out through the secret crack and into the cold night where it belonged. Marlo saw his one chance, a fat cork that the grown-ups had long ago left wedged on a ledge, just the right size to plug the hole. With a great clumsy leap that was half a trip and half a dive, he crashed into the cork, and down it tumbled, wedging itself snugly into the crack and sealing the secret door for good. Behind him, the great winter potato sat whole and safe, not a single bite taken from the village's long winter. Marlo crawled back out into the lamplight, covered head to foot in strawberry juice, pea dust, and cobwebs, looking exactly as messy as everyone had always feared he would, and the whole larder burst into the loudest cheer it had ever raised. Zlata reached him first and hugged her sticky, beaming little brother so hard that they both nearly toppled over, which, for once, would have been perfectly all right. In the morning, when the first frost had finally come and feathered the world above with white, the little folk held the happiest breakfast of the year. Old Bogdan cut a brand new notch in the doorpost, not to count down the days this time, but to mark the night the smallest boy saved them all. "From this winter on," he announced, setting a tiny acorn cap crown on Marlo's head. "Marlo is our keeper of the narrow ways, the one who goes where careful hands cannot reach." Marlo grinned so wide he nearly fell off the bench, and this time when he wobbled, he only laughed, because he had finally learned that the very thing that made him different was the thing that made him needed. All that long winter, the village stayed warm and full, slicing the great winter potato thin and sharing the sweet dried strawberries, safe behind their well-corked wall. And whenever a jar tipped or a tower of apple rings went hooping across the floor, nobody sighed anymore. They only smiled and said, "That'll be Marlo, the bravest, clumsiest, most useful boy in the whole wide, enormous world."